Okay, so
Yeah.
today we're diving into story protocol.
It's a really interesting concept
Yeah,
and that we've been hearing more and more about.
it's a really interesting development, I think.
A lot of people are excited to see where it goes.
And lucky for us, we have an expert with us.
To break it all down
I've been looking into this one.
for a while now
So,
to get us started.
what exactly is story protocol?
Well, imagine a world where like every story, every song,
Every creative spark could be instantly shared and built upon.
like a global Lego set for the imagination.
Okay,
I like that.
that's kind of the vision behind story protocol.
It's like this idea that we can take all these creative ideas and like,
Make them building blocks for other people to use.
yeah, and not just like remixing in a simple way, but really building on each other's work.
Like you said, building blocks.
So how does that actually work?
So story protocol uses blockchain technology to create a secure and transparent system.
For managing intellectual property, or IP.
Okay, so we're talking about like copyrights and trademarks and all that.
Exactly. But instead of relying on traditional legal frameworks, Story Protocol embeds that information.
Directly into the content itself.
So it's like a digital fingerprint for your creative work.
Exactly. And because it's on the blockchain, it's permanent, verifiable, and accessible to everyone.
Okay, so we've got this blockchain system for tracking who created what, but how does Story Protocol actually help creators make money?
What all comes back to this concept of programmable ownership.
So let's say you're a musician and you create a really catchy drum loop.
With story protocol, you can decide exactly how other people can use that loop.
Like, can they use it for free? Do they have to pay me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You set the terms. Maybe you say anyone can use it for free.
As long as they give you credit. Or maybe you charge a small fee for each use.
Or even sell exclusive rights to a bigger artist,
So it's like having your own built-in licensing agent.
but without the hefty fees.
Exactly. And because everything is tracked on the blockchain, you can be sure that you're getting paid.
Every time someone uses your work.
That's huge. So it sounds like Story Protocol could be a game changer for independent creators.
Especially those who are just starting out, maybe don't have the resources.
To navigate the traditional music industry,
Absolutely. It levels the playing field, giving everyone a shot at success.
to understand more about how it actually works in practice.
I think it'd be helpful to look at some real-world examples.
Yeah, definitely. There are a bunch of cool projects already using Story Protocol.
Like what? Give us the rundown.
So there's this NFT collection called Pudgy Penguins.
They're using story protocol to manage the IP for their characters.
Okay, I've heard of those.
Those are cute.
Yeah, so now anyone who owns a Pudgy Penguin NFT can potentially profit if that penguin
Is used in a movie, a video game, or even just a meme.
That's wild. So it's like giving the power back to the creators,
Yeah, in this case.
the owners of those penguins.
Exactly. And that's just one example. We're already seeing a wave of innovation in this space.
With artists, writers, and musicians all finding creative ways to use Story Protocol.
It's exciting to think about what the future holds for this technology. So it's not just about protecting what's yours.
It's about opening up these new creative and economic possibilities.
For both the creator and the community.
Right, and it allows for more granular control.
Over how your work is used.
Okay, so let's dive into that a bit more.
What do you mean by granular control?
So with traditional copyright, it's pretty black and white.
Either you own the rights or you don't.
But with Story Protocol, you can set very specific conditions for how your work can be used.
So give me an example. Let's say I'm a photographer and I've taken this amazing picture.
That I think would be perfect for book covers.
Okay, so you could specify that your photo can only be used for book covers.
And you can even get more specific, like say, only for fantasy novels.
Or maybe you only want it used for physical books, not ebooks.
Wow, that's really specific.
I like that level of control.
Right, it puts the power back in the hands of the creator.
You decide who gets to use your work and how.
But what if I change my mind later? What if I decide I want to allow my photo to be used for album covers too?
That's the beauty of it. You can always go back and adjust the terms.
Story Protocol is built to be flexible, so you can adapt to changing circumstances.
So it's not like I'm locking myself into something that I might regret later on.
Exactly.
You're in the driver's seat the whole way.
That's really reassuring for creators who might be hesitant to put their work out there.
Exactly.
And it opens up so many possibilities for collaboration.
Okay, I'm curious about that. How does story protocol actually facilitate collaboration between creators?
So imagine a scenario where a writer is working on a fantasy novel,
And they want to include illustrations.
but they're not an artist themselves.
Right, so they need to find an illustrator.
Which can be a whole thing in itself.
Exactly. But with story protocol, They could potentially find an illustrator whose style they love.
And whose work is already registered on the platform.
So they could see the illustrator's terms for collaboration right there.
Exactly. They could see what kind of licensing fees the illustrator charges.
Or maybe they could even propose a co-ownership agreement.
So they'd both own the rights to the illustrations created for the book.
Exactly. And because everything is tracked and managed through Story Protocol.
It simplifies the whole process and reduces the risk for everyone involved.
That sounds like a dream come true for someone like me who loves to collaborate but hates dealing with contracts and legal stuff.
I hear you.
That's one of the biggest pain points Story Protocol is trying to solve.
And it's not just about making things easier.
It's about creating a more equitable system for creators.
Especially those who might not have the resources or the legal know-how to navigate the traditional IP landscape.
Absolutely.
It levels the playing field and gives everyone a shot at success.
So we've talked about how Story Protocol benefits individual creators.
But what about the bigger picture? How does this technology impact the creative industries as a whole?
That's a great question.
And it's one that a lot of people are thinking about. Well, think about it this way.
Right now, the way we produce and consume content is very siloed.
You have different companies, different platforms, all operating within their own walled gardens.
Yeah, it can be a pain to switch between streaming services.
Just to watch one show.
Exactly. And for creators, it's even worse.
They're often forced to choose one platform over another.
And they lose a lot of control over how their work is distributed and monetized.
So how does Story Protocol change that?
Story Protocol aims to create a more open and interoperable ecosystem.
Where creative works can flow more freely between platforms and across borders.
Okay, so instead of being tied to a specific platform,
My content can exist.
kind of independently,
Exactly. It's like the difference between owning a physical book.
and having access to it through a digital library,
So I could potentially take a story that I've registered on Story Protocol,
and use it to create a comic book,
a video game, and even a TV show.
all without having to go through a bunch of legal hoops.
Exactly. And because all the IP information is embedded in the content itself,
It streamlines the whole process.
that sounds incredibly powerful,
But it also raises some interesting questions about ownership.
especially when you have multiple creators collaborating on a project.
All right, so let's say you and I are working on a graphic novel together.
You're writing and I'm illustrating.
Okay, so who owns the rights to the finished product?
That's something we'd agree on up front.
And Story Protocol would record that agreement on the blockchain.
So it's like a built-in contract.
Exactly. We could decide to split the ownership 50-50.
Or maybe you'd get a larger share because you're the writer.
Whatever we decide, it's all transparent and tamper-proof.
That makes a lot of sense.
So it eliminates a lot of the potential for disputes down the line.
Exactly. And if we ever decide to adapt our graphic novel into a movie,
We can specify how those rights are handled too.
so it's like having a framework for managing creative ownership.
That can evolve as a project grows and changes.
Exactly.
And that's something that traditional IP law really struggles with.
This has been incredibly insightful.
I'm really excited to see how Story Protocol develops in the coming years.
Me too. It has the potential to revolutionize how we think about creativity
Ownership?
and even collaboration itself.
It's been a pleasure picking your brain about all this.
It's been fun. Like I said, I'm very excited about this one.
For everyone listening, definitely check out Story Protocol.
Do some more research on your own and let us know what you think.
It's definitely a topic we'll be revisiting as things progress. Until next time.